So, Clara, can you present yourself and start your presentation?
Okay, okay. I have to see. I have to share the screen.
And Clara, Andrea can do the presentation of the PowerPoint.
Yeah. A tady to mám.
Clara, Andrea has a copy of your PowerPoint, so he can organize the PowerPoint if you want.
I tried to share it. I think
Okay, that's fine. Voila, that's it.
No, that's my PowerPoint.
Oh yes, that's right.
Can you see my screen?
I don't see your screen now. No.
No.
Because I put my screen on sharing, but you can't see it.
No, we can't see it. Maybe Andrea can present it.
Yes, Andrea has a copy of your PowerPoint.
Can you put it on, please, or shall?
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. And can I change the slide somehow, or?
No, you say next when you want to change the slide.
Yeah. I am surprised that there are no pictures there because it was based on pictures. I don't know where they disappeared. If we can.
No, that's Janova. No, what I received was without pictures. I don't know why.
Ah, okay. I received it. I saw without pictures either.
The presentation definitely went with pictures.
Ah, okay. But when I received it, there were no pictures.
Yeah. Maybe I tried the last time to share my screen, and then we try without pictures. So please give me some small time for
take some minutes. Take some minutes.
I asked my child.
So what I can say is, after the two presentations of Clara and Gisela, I will take a little bit of time with you, the participants, to speak about the possibility for you all to become a trainer in the Ecett Academy. So Ecett has a lot of experience in exchange of internships, but since this year, we begin with making an offer of training by you. So you have all experience in some good practices. And so if you agree, you can become a trainer for the good practices that you are doing. We will do this at the end of the presentation. So I see now we have the cookbook of Clara.
Yeah, but we didn't receive like this, the PowerPoint. No.
Yeah. Clara, we don't hear you. Can you put the microphone? Yeah. We don't hear you. The sound is so small, we can't hear you. Nothing.
She went to ask to her child. Yeah, because.
Dáme sdílet, jo? A co chceš, asi dáme třeba okno? Máš tam tu prezentaci někde?
No, ono to nejde sdílet, tak prostě musím...
Aha. Tak máš mikrofon.
Okay, so can you share my presentation, because I can't share it with you. I don't know how to do it.
Okay. You have sent.
So last trial, please.
Yes, yes, good.
Okay.
Can you maybe see the presentation now?
It's great.
So maybe I can share the presentation.
That's fine.
Can you see it now? Is it okay?
Yes, we
That's
see
great.
and we hear.
Okay, I am winner. Great. Hello, my name is Clara, and I work as a family therapist in Magdalena, in community with Zdenka. And I work as a family therapist there for 10 years. And I would like to shortly introduce you the way how we work with families there. And we have 4 ways of working with families. The most important for us is therapeutic groups. And we command there people, also parents and relatives or close people of our clients. And it's great that there are people from different phases over there, and that they can share their worries, because the beginners in therapeutic groups, they always are nervous and they are worried that they can leave, and the parents who go there longer time say, it's okay, we know this, you can do this and that. So psychotherapists are not important there. There are important the attendance of the groups, and we usually gather face to face, but during Corona time, we realized that we can gather online as well, and we were surprised that we had bigger attendance in that online version, because we have people from whole country, and our community is far away from there, and it was quite okay. But we decided to change face-to-face and online version, and we have good practice with this. Next platform we work with families is that we organize family Saturdays. We organize it like 3 or 4 times a year, and it's nice ways to meet up with parents and relatives, and it's in the community. Usually moms brings cakes, and they can go through the community day with their children, and they work with us. They have individual psychotherapy and group therapy, and we have usually great time together. And usually parents say, you are on vacation, you are on holidays, it's nothing just to be and stay in community, and when they go through one day in community, they say, oh, we are exhausted, we want to go home, and children tell them, look at us, we are living here for 1 year and we have to go through this. So they have after this family Saturday some humility to the experience what their children who wants to treat from addiction have to go through. And it's similar to family Saturdays is family weekends, and family weekends is a possibility for parents to really be with their children for 1 weekend, and of that is that they cannot choose what they want to do, but they have to attend everything. So usually they go for some trip. They they work with animals, because we have 3 kinds of work in Magdalena. Clients work with animals, they cook and they clean up, and parents do everything together. And after this weekend, usually on a Sunday afternoon, it's really for community, for parents and for clients that they are leaving, because parents usually have many advices how to do things better, and it's a relief when they leave. But it's a good issue for individual and group psychotherapy afterwards. And each client has each special psychotherapist with whom they have a special relationship, and they meet for individual consultations each month, and they ask what they are curious of, and you know that from treatment it's nothing special. But I wanted to introduce you like 4 platforms of how we meet with parents. And when we meet it with parents, we realized that there are some situations which are repeated in our meeting with them, and that there are situations which make parents anxious, and we call it some kind of crisis. And we realized that it would be nice those experiences which we share in therapeutic groups with parents, that we could put in some book. And because it's kind of heavy issue, that crisis, and that their children do something wrong in that treatment, so we wanted to make it in some funny way. So we created some cookbook, and we wanted in that cookbook put some practical information, what to do really in practical way when something concrete in crisis happen. And I would like to introduce you the recipes from that cookbook. I chose just some of them, and you can see. Like we always completed like special recipe to the special kind of crisis. So first recipe is gazpacho soup, and it's connected with premature leaving from the community because it's cold, and it's really common. And parents of clients are always at the beginning terrified that their child wants to leave, but we try to show them that it's really common that during the zero phase at the beginning, everybody is deciding if he wants to do something with his change or with his treatment, or if he wants to to drink and use drugs more. So it's really advantage that parents from the other phases tell the new ones, we know this. And the main instruction in that gazpacho soup situation is that please connect with us, because it's usual in this situation, you know, that clients want to phone and call their parents and say, Mom, Dad, nobody understands me. You are the only one who understands me. Please take me home. I explained you everything. I will help you. And usually parents who have feeling of guilt that they did something wrong, which is really common in that situation, don't connect the team and take them home. And when we work together and we tell usually parents, please don't take them home, because if they don't have the possibility where to go, we made some common push and on them, and they can speak why they want to leave. And we work as a team, psychotherapists and parents and clients together, and usually we can get over. So in gazpacho soup situation, we have to work in some connection. Yeah, so that's the first recipe. Another recipe is little snacks, we call it. It's some kind of crisis that clients have appetite for drugs, and usually their parents or relatives are terrified from it, because they say to themselves they want to treat, so why they want to take drugs. And we try to educate them that it's really common, and but we try to explain them that it's not good when they take responsibility for the appetite for drugs instead of them. We try to treat our clients to do something with it. It's usually physical, so we have swimming pool, so we put them in swimming pool, and suddenly client who had appetite for drugs can really think in absolutely different way about that situation. So that's recipe little snacks. Next recipe is cabbage rolls. It's also some small kind of crisis in communication with parents. It's that children can't be open in some way in the community. The most common shared secret with parents is that they are in love with somebody in community, and they are not nature to share it in the treatment. So they put their parents in really unpopular way. They say, for example, Mom, I am in love with another client, but please don't tell anybody that it happened to me. And poor mom is really in tension between, if I say that my child will be excluded from treatment, and if I don't say, I betray the team. So it's a really unpopular situation, and we try to tell them that it's good to make push on their children to say it somehow in the community, because we can make it if we notice that they are in love, we have some deal between communities in our country that it happens, and one client can be in one community and one in another, and we can replace him in quite short way. So it's again, we try to educate parents not to solve the situation instead of their children. Multi-level cake is a symbol of different phases in treatment, and usually parents are very disappointed when their children don't when the transitions between phases don't happen easily. But we try to tell them that it's not a disaster when it doesn't happen easily. We have some motto that, how to say, big stars burn fastly, that when it happens easily, when their children make transitions and I do it well, and I go to another phase, it's in some ways it can be suspicious that they do it in some proper way, but they are not open in psychotherapy. So if they if we try to explain the parents that they should ask for the reasons why did it happen, and try to support their children that they can do it another month, because the transition between phases is how to say, it's possible to do it at the beginning of each month, so it's no disaster when they can leave another month. And usually when it's a bigger battle between that they can really try at the beginning of the month to go to another phase, and it makes more effort, it's more successful the treatment at the end. So we try to support terrified parents in this way. Lemon sauce is a symbol or recipe for non-compliance with the agreement, usually between parents and client, because it's quite usual. They make deals about paying some money, and children want usually buy more cigarettes between the treatment, and they have no extra money, but they put it in some way to pay at least a small amount of money a month, and then they don't do it. So we try to again to be open about it and speak about it, and not to feel like nothing happened. Goulash is a symbol for the situation where the children are going out from the community, and they are meeting different places and different people, and parents are usually terrified from the facts that they can make toxic friends from the past, and they are in doubts how they can resist to the what they meet, but we try to support parents that it's normal, and they wanted to usually to give them some money to really have nice times out of the community, and we try them not to do it because they have financial plans and they have to go with a certain amount of money, and we when the parents give some extra money to children, it makes really fuss in that financial plans. But we ask again parents not to take responsibility for the meeting of toxic friends and situation, but they can speak with their children what they have to live through. Yeah, fondue is a symbol for sharing the situation that my child is in the treatment from addiction, because the strong page of our therapeutic group is that they can share it with people who have the same experience, because when they share it, for example, in work or with friends, they have feelings of guilt, what they did wrong, that their colleagues have proper children, and that's something better, that they did something bad. And we always tell them that we don't look for offender who did something wrong and what happened, but the strong page of our working with parents is that we can share it and we don't look for offender, that we are looking for the creative ways how to deal, how to go out from addiction. And usually parents share the experience that they lie to certain people, for example, in work, that they are on big holidays or something like that, but they are sharing that afterwards it's exhausting, that if we ask them that they don't need to be open to everybody, they can choose people with whom they share, but that lying is really exhausting in this way. Cheese triangles, it's a symbol for that it's necessary to keep the triangle client, parent, psychotherapist, because when we have a coalition between client and psychotherapist, parent and psychotherapist, it doesn't work. We try to explain the parents and relatives, we as a team, we can't do the treatment of addiction without you. And I am doing this for 10 years, and at the beginning I was nice and I offered the possibilities how to work, but the longer I do it, I am more directive in these ways, and I am with my colleague, we tell the parents without us we can't handle it. So we really emphasize on this triangle. Yeah, and the last recipe is connection with aftercare service, because it's in the time at the end of the treatment, when usually clients have already found the job, found the work, and suddenly they wanted to throw away everything from the treatment, because they are saying, oh, we are busy, we don't have time for psychotherapy, we can handle it. But we know from experience, and you know this as well, that people in this phase are really very fragile. So we try to explain parents and clients that without a regular meeting in aftercare service, it's very fragile to to stay all the tensions in the new job. So that cake is the symbol that without aftercare service, it's not that used for the treatment. So, yeah. So these are some, we have another recipes, we have maybe some 15 recipes, but I realized that another recipes I can't translate it. I asked Zdenka how to translate it, but it's really typical Czech words. So this is what I was able to translate it in English. So thanks for your attention. I'm open to your questions.
Thanks, Clara, and congratulations. I'm very impressed. You say that you have many more fish for the cookbook.
Sorry, I wanted again.
Yes. So you have many other such fish, recipes. You have many other recipes.
Yeah, but it's like, for example, we have Zdenka help me. Is there an is Zdenka somewhere? Yeah, it's called like a gingerbread with coconut, and gingerbread is a symbol for pervitin, and coconut is for cocaine. But it's a special.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have. And it's really complicated to translate it.
Yeah,
yes,
it's very much for the Czech environment. But you are right, George. We do have. It's a whole cookbook. It's a fantastic booklet full of recipes that are really symbolical for the crisis, the different type of crisis in different phases during the community treatment, therapeutic community treatment.
Fine. Before asking my question, I want to know if all the participants have now questions or remarks. Yes, Theodora.
Because I lost my connection when you start your presentation, did you say that you have individual consultations for parents once a month?
Yeah. During Corona time, we have online consultation, and now successfully we can have face-to-face consultations. But we really put emphasize that once a month is a minimum. When I started to work as a family therapist 10 years ago, we really offered the possibility of consultations, but now we really push on that possibility. Without you, we can't handle it, because our experience is that only offering is not enough. So we are really pushing in this. And for example, we put it as a condition in transition to another phase. You have to have like 2 or 3 consultations with parents, otherwise you can't go higher. So for sure, there are some family situation when it's not possible, and we can speak about this, but we really, the more I do it, the more really I push. It's not therapeutic, but without parents, we can't do it. So.
Mm-hmm.
So if they need more appointments, they can have them, right? It's not only one.
But we are not in that situation that they would like to have more meetings. Like once a month is minimum, and I have never lived through that somebody would like more consultations, really.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else has questions? Yes, Martin.
First of all, I think it's an excellent idea what you did, having a cooking book. I have wondered if you present it to the parents as a book, or is it just something that they have in mind?
Yeah, it's a really real book. Zdenka found money for that, so it's published, and it's for our use. It's not like in libraries, but we usually give it to parents when we meet them. So we have some material to speak about.
Yes. And I have another question. I didn't understand quite well. You have parents staying for a whole weekend?
Yeah, it's possibility for parents to stay there for weekend if they want to.
And they follow a program in the same way that the clients do. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's interesting experience because they parents usually have many good advice for everybody, and it's a big relief on Sunday afternoon when they leave. So
yes,
it's usual experience of having parents in community.
It reminds me when I had a therapeutic community in the beginning, we had staff from other programs being residents for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had our residents being staff.
Mm-hmm.
And the staff, they did only see the second day. And it was a great experience. So I was wondering if the parents come, do we have residents being staff and running groups?
Yeah, there are some topics which the residents don't open when the parents are there. It's the fact. So but it brings some experience in community. I can see your mom. You always say how terrible she was, and now we could speak with her, and she is quite normal. But I am not wondering that you don't want to share this and that. So it's some experience, but yeah.
Great anyway. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
How many therapists are working in your community?
Zdenka, help me. Right now we have crisis. We have 2 less, but usually 7.
7.
About 7.
And how many clients live at?
Our capacity is 14 beds, so we have 14 clients.
Wow.
30 usually.
Okay, and 7 therapists. Interesting. Yeah.
Well, obviously it's an ongoing service, so the therapists have shifts and they are there 24 hours a day. So it might sound a lot or many, but actually when you take it into shifts, then it's not as many. Usually there are, and Clara helped me here, there are 2 therapists during the day.
Yeah, it's like that. And we have, you know, that from communities stays for 1 week. So 2 therapists are 1 week away, and then they need colleagues to change them. So.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah. Thank you.
From which community are you, Silke?
From Merelbeke, de Sleutel.
Oh yes.
Okay. Yeah. Fine. Yeah, and for me, it's really interesting to hear that you see the family so much, because it's not possible. I'm actually together with Anke. We work 1 full time with family, and that's it. So, and we have I think around 18 beds. Yeah. So, and I'm also a psychotherapist. So we give group therapy, but we don't give therapy to families. We only invite them when the clients think it's really important for them. So it's a bit different.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't know if everyone knows who is Martin Koeman. He is the father.
Everyone knows who is Martin Koeman.
Communities. So Martin is a psychiatrist, and he began with the first therapeutic communities on the European continent. It was in the years 70, I think, Martin.
Yes. On February the 14th, that later became a very important day, in 1972, so some years ago, when I was a young psychiatrist. Yes.
I was wondering if it was you, but really it's Martin Koeman. So.
Yes. And I thought that from the beginning already that parents were very important to have them involved in your program. So we started as a first program that to dealing with parents in the Netherlands, and I published my thesis on it. Maybe you know it. You can find it you can get free copies from the internet if you just type the therapeutic community for addicts. My name, Martin Koeman, and Erasmus University. Then it's in English. You can get the whole book.
I read it.
Sold out. Huh? Anyway, but I found that when you have residents that have parents who did not take part in the groups, the results of their stay in the program were far less than when the parents came, even if there was only one parent attending 2 times for the groups. And I thought that it had to do with our great work with the parents, but when we did the research, we found very simple. If you have parents who are involved, the residents stay longer.
That's it.
Because the residents stay longer, they have better results.
Yeah. And we say this fact as at the beginning to parents. We have this fact. If you take part in the treatment, we have the fact that it will be more successful. Yeah. It's somehow manipulative, but it's the fact. So when they listen to that, it's hard to resist to this.
Yes, we found it was more than 2 times successful.
Yeah.
Thanks, Martin. Are there other questions?
No, it's great.
So I had also a question. Do the parents receive a cookbook at the beginning of the treatment? Oh, yes.
Yeah. And we have these recipes. Is always like one recipe is the topic of one therapeutic group. So yesterday I had a group on multi-level cake. So we have groups with recipes. Yeah. So,
and this is, for example, a good practice, very original, and also humoristic, which is a good pedagogy. Yeah. So if Clara agrees to be a trainer in the Ecett Academy, then you can ask Ecett if you can have a training online or physically with Clara in the future. And this will be the same for all the good practices presented during the webinars.
I am open to that. Thank you.
Okay. No other comments about this good practice?
No, maybe just a note that I sent a link in the chat box for the publication on our website. So I don't think it's much of a use for you. There's a lot of text and writing, but you can page it through or just look at it the way we did it. And it's in Czech, unfortunately, for now, but maybe in the future, if someone was interested, it could be done in English as well.
Okay. So now we can move to the second presentation, which is done, which is a good practice from Dia Nova. It will be presented by Gisela. It's about parenting skills. Gisela, you have the word.
Sorry, I am leaving for holidays. I was happy to meet you. Bye bye.
Bye, Clara.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clara. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Good morning, everyone. I'm not sure how much time do we have ahead.
How much time? You have about 15 minutes for the presentation and then time for the questions.
Good. I'm not sure, Andrea, is this my last version of the PowerPoint? I just sent it to you an hour ago, the last one. Are you okay if I share my own screen? Because I think you don't have the last one version. Yeah, I will rather to do that. Yeah, thank you. Okay, just I'm going to share a screen. Hold on in a minute. Is that okay? Can you see that? Yeah, okay, great. Well, so thank you very much. It's an honor to be here today with all of you. I'm going to talk a little bit about addressing parenting skill in people who use drugs who undergo at the same time treatment in a therapeutic community. Well, I'm gonna try to make sure my presentation, there's a lot of content in there, but I'm going to try to sum up some main ideas. First, start with some context about the drug treatment and the lack of comprehensive care. I think it's quite important to to take this into account to understand why this is a good practice. And secondly, I would like to talk about a little bit about TC, the Therapeutic Community Dia Nova Camparellada, location and main program characteristic, to understand why we have done things in the way we did. And third, to talk about addressing parental skill, individual group therapy, individual and group therapy, the methodology, staff, and key concepts. And for last, some main takeaway ideas to sum up. So to start, just let me talk very briefly to introduce the Dia Nova network. We are an international network. We are present in composed about 25 members operating in 19 countries, 4 continents. In this slide, you can see more information about our network, but just highlight the gender parity in the composition of teams. And we have 42 direct care facilities, more than 100 interventional social reintegration programs, and 4 awareness campaigns. So some context about drug treatment in therapeutic communities. There is, according to literature and recent research and a lot of webinars and discussions recently, there's a lack of gender and child perspective in the design and implementation, at least in the Barcelona area. According to 2015 World Drug Report, one out of every 3 drug users was a woman, but only 1 out of every 5 people in treatment was a woman. There's a lack of gender approach applied to the drug phenomena. And what is applying the gender approach in drug phenomena? It is to consider particularities of gender that impacts in drug use and recovery, and eliminate the base gender disadvantage in drug treatment, accessibility, and adherence. I would like to emphasize too that the introduction of gender perspective should be done in programs with women, men, and men and women programs as well. So there are gender barriers to access and remain in drug treatment because there is an invisibility and quantification of female drug use, which is directly related with the double stigmatizations for being drug users and the gender stigma. Also, drug treatment facilities, above all inpatient facility, are highly masculinized environment. Also, parenting and everything related with children is usually associated with women. Drug treatment facilities are usually disconnected from other networks such as social welfare, child protection, school, gender-based violence network, mental health. I'm talking about at least in Barcelona and Catalan area. Our networks are working in separate areas. I mean, there is not a good communication between different networks, which is mean there is not a comprehensive care or approach in order to deal with drug issues. Also, in the area of drug treatment, the design is often adult-centric and androcentric. Adult-centric is mean that when usually we talk about families, we talk about the caregivers, the main caregivers, or our client, but we want to put the focus in family and those little ones. I mean, the kids of people who is undergoing and treatment. Also, I would like to highlight that the children of people who use drugs usually are deprived of meaningful learning, and adult drug users usually had difficult childhoods as well, and there is a lack of adaptive educational model. Research shows that children, research shows that children who have at least one parent affected by alcohol or other drug use are more likely to experience a range of poor outcomes in mental health and social and emotional well-being. Yet adults who present to adult-focused services may not discuss their parent and child relationship nor their children's well-being unless practitioners specifically ask. This experience addresses how practitioners working with parents in ongoing residential treatment can engage parents in having child-focused and parent-sensitive conversation in individual and group therapy, and how this conversation can identify and strengthen protective factors and improve immediate and long-term outcomes for children's social and emotional well-being. So let me explain you. So well, this phrase is parenting issues need to be addressed in a systematic way in adult drug treatment services because it is related to a comprehensive care and the perspective of children's rights. So let me talk a little bit about the therapeutic community, the Anova Camp Paradada. We are located in very near from Barcelona, but we are very near from mountains as well. So it's far away from city. This is a mixed treatment, I mean, men and women, adults, men and women. But as I mentioned before, residential treatment, mixed residential treatment are usually masculinized environments. So usually we have like 30 male clients and only 10 or 8 or 12 at maximum women doing the treatment at the same time. So there's a lot of issues and dimension and dynamics that we should take into account when this happens. Also, it's very important that is a long-term treatment. It means that people are in our therapeutic community at least 6 or 9 months, which is a huge opportunity to address a lot of things in a comprehensive way to address the drug use problem. And it's a volunteer treatment. People is free to leave and free to say whatever they want. This is a picture of all. You can see there's very young people lately. I mean, we have a different profile. Is aging people like 60 or 62 years old and very young people. So we need to adapt and adjust some activities, some context as well to this variable. So addressing parenting skill. Why this is so important? Because it's important to have a comprehensive approach, an holistic approach in order to address the problematic drug use. And it means work with families. And work with families, it means to work with adults, the loved ones, adults, but the kids, the child as well. So how we do it and when we do it. Let me explain you a little bit about our good experience, good practice. Well, we have done 2 different things. One implies the direct therapy, direct intervention, and the other one, we have created some protocols, systematic way to work. I'm going to explain the first one, the direct intervention, which comprehends group therapy and individual therapy. So when we have done and when we have done it. Well, group therapy, along all the treatment, people who has kids goes in the wheel. This is volunteer group as well. Group therapy. We do this therapy group twice per week, and it lasts 2 hours every session. So this is very important. Group is led by a psychologist, but a trained psychologist with a specific training and approach in gender approach, human rights, not very directive style. And this is quite important that the good experience works. We address specific content in a semi-structured way. It means that if we have prepared some files and exercise to do, because that week we need to address some specific issue, we try to listen a lot the group. What group of people need to talk right now? Maybe some conflicts, some situation arise recently, and they need to address that before we keep talking about other things. I mean, that's why it's a semi-structured way. We are going to address that issues, but we are going to listen the needs of the group at the same time. One other important thing that we have mixed groups and not mixed groups. This is very important because we are going to address issues like gender-based violence, sexual violence, stereotypes. I mean, there's a huge gender approach in this design and implementation of these groups, according to the practice and all the recommendations. Some issues must not be addressed in mixed groups. This is a 20 weeks program, okay? And let me talk a little bit about that specific content in these 40 sessions. This is a kind of a very general overview of 5 dimensions that we address, but there's a lot of subtopics inside these dimensions. The first weeks, the 1 to 4th week, we talk about positioning ourselves. Where are we from the child that I went to the father or the mother that I am today, and a lot of situation. How is their situation regarding the kids right now? They had custody, they have lost it, they live with them, how they feel. Okay. From the 5th to the 8th week, we address the becoming aware chapter. This is how drug use and the relationship with our kids are affected, the difficulties, the challenging feelings, guilt, etc. From the 9 to 12 week, we talk about a lot, not in a very academic way, but there is a lot of theory in there, that the developmental stage of children and their specific needs. There's a issue that very often come out, that what happened when their children are growing up while we are in treatment. Specifically, women, they feel a lot of guilt. They feel that they are losing a lot of meaningful experience with their kids, and that cause a big shame and guilt at the same time. So we need to address it. From the week 13 to 16th, we talk a lot about respectful upbringing and care. This other approach to raise kids with a special focus on the prevention of violence. And from the 17th to the 20th, we review our own expectations. I mean, what are our main challenges and opportunities in parenting while we are in treatment, and afterwards, where we want to go after all this therapy group, what kind of relationship we want to have with our kids, and we deal with expectations and realities as well. Regarding individual therapy, there needs to exist that continuum between all the things that we talk about in group, and we need to still address this in individual therapy. In individual therapy, it's important to talk about the family visits, the video call, how if it goes well, if there's some crisis around with their kids, is there some problem with families as well. We need to respond to specific needs of each case and analyze personal parental model, how this has influenced the relationship with children. Also, it's very important to address with mothers the idealized motherhood, or maybe to the desire to not be a mom, to not be in the position of taking care of our kid, but we strong emphasize the responsibility, okay? Not the desire to be in, but we are responsible of our kids. We address as well social stigma, violence issues that maybe don't come up very easily in therapy group, especially in mixed ones. And last but not least, the expectation and realities, because there's a huge connection from these expectations and reality between the relapsing in drug use. There's a lot of situations due by the stress or disappointed, especially when they are in family visits. They feel that their kids are very far away. They don't feel so close. They feel guilty, and that may arise some relapse in drug use situations. So that was related with direct intervention. Also, we have created some specific protocol. We have worked in the design and implementation of a specific protocol of action when we detect a situation of violence of children's rights, whether it can be neglect, physical abuse, emotional, sexual abuse, etc., regardless of whether this occurs by the person doing treatment or another person outside of treatment. We realize that if we talk more about children, we detect more things, and we have to give some quick answers to that. This is why today we work more in connection with the Child Protection Network, schools, Children's Mental Health Network. There's a great challenge here, which is the bond with the user and having to great confidentiality on certain occasions as the best interest of the child prevail. So some final ideas I would like to highlight, final main takeaways. We need to be flexible. It is a semi-structured group. We need to adapt the content to their reality. I'm pretty sure that we need to address different things if we are in an outpatient group, inpatient residential treatment, or harm reduction services. So we need to be inflexible about the contents and the needs of the group. There are groups of great emotional caliber. A lot of emotions arise. People cry a lot. People feel very guilty. So we need for an experienced therapist to conduct it. Also, are some topics should not be addressed in mixed groups. This is very important to take into account. A specific training on drug, gender, and stigma is very important, especially for the psychologists who conduct the group and the individual therapist. And we need to have continuity in the work of the issues of each case in individual therapy. And also, it's important to create protocols for the detection of specific situations and work with your local networks. I mean, we have created a protocol, but our protocol is adapted to our reality and the network that we work at the local level. So this protocol needs to be flexible and adapt for each program and service reality. We have to ensure well that group and individual intervention follow the same line, so the same approach, even if they are different professionals involved in the same case. And finally, I would like to mention some key issues. There's a lot more to take into, but let's say this is an ABC to address parenting skill in residential drug treatment program, like in our therapeutic community. I think that as practitioners, they, as a parent as well, need a clear understanding of how parental drug use can affect the mental health and social and emotional well-being of children. We need insight into how children can be a motivating factor of parents in addressing their drug use, but sometimes not. We need an understanding that when parents receive support, there's a greater possibility that any problem that child and family may be experiencing will be addressed, properly addressed. We need an exploration of child-focused practices can be used to have conversation with parents in ways that identify and strengthen protective factor for children. I strongly encourage you to replicate existing good practices. There is a lot of them and very successful examples. So I encourage you to review those good practices, to adapt them to your context and go for it. There's a very nice result, and is very pleased to see how people feel well and can deal with all those issues that have been heightened so many times. So all that we have mentioned before increase effectiveness and efficacy in addiction treatment programs, but I think that addressing parenting skills in people who use drugs is a matter of public health, children's rights, and it should concern everyone. So thank you very much for listening, and open for questions.
Thank you, Gisela. Thank you very much. So are there already some questions for Gisela?
Good.
So I will first ask to Gisela, in the staff of Dianova, are there ex-users or ex-clients of Dianova?
No, it's a professional staff. I mean, there's a regular, there's a law here in the area that teams need to have a degree, a specific degree, like social educator, psychologist. I mean, whether it's people is ex-user or not, what prevails is the criteria of having that specific training.
Okay. And what you explain now about parenting skills, is this only done in Spain or also in other countries of Dianova?
This is our experience in a local area in Barcelona. I'm not sure if there's a, they have replicated in other countries in Dianova, because there's different reality. Mostly we have a residential treatment, but only for male or female, and not so many experience with a mixed therapy communities. There is a huge, people perceive this like a spooky working with men and women at the same time. There is a lot of, I think there's a lot of stereotype behind that here.
Yes, Martin?
Well, I didn't get quite clear if the participants were residents of a therapeutic community or they were outside ambulatory programs. Were they the residents participating? And if they were residents, where were their children? Were they with the grandmother or whatever, what often is the case, or did you have a special situation that the residents would stay with the children?
Yeah, thanks, Martin, for the questions. The participants live in the therapeutic community. They are doing an inpatient treatment at least for 6 or 9 months. So we have a lot of opportunity to address a lot of things in so many months. So their kids usually lives with extended family, grandmothers, uncles, in extended family, but it's very often, above all in women, that they have lost custody. So people are in the system. I mean, they're in the foster families or foster care home. So there's a lot of things come up in those groups because people have really different situations. It's not the same. If you have the first family visit in the first month, there are some people who are going to spend that weekend with their kids, but other people who has not that opportunity. That's why I mentioned before that very emotional, there's a huge emotional caliber, those groups, because people feel very bad, feel very guilty. You can see your kid when you go out, I can do it, we need to address that.
Well, we had this opportunity in the Netherlands for a separate house next to the TC, where the mothers with kids stayed, while in the daytime, the mothers, usually mothers, sometimes even fathers, could be in the program of the TC. And in the evening, there was a pedagogue who could train people, the women, in skills to have to become a real mother. We found that when they stay with the mother, the grandmother often undermines the ability of the mother themselves to become a parent because, well, let me do it because I know it better than you do, things like that. But unfortunately, this program existed for 15 years, but it was not funded anymore, and now it's a very short program where people cannot stay for 2 years or something like it was in the past. It's always difficult to explain how important it is to have the connection of the mother and the child themselves, even if they are in treatment. Of course, they must be in an inpatient treatment, so they couldn't do it.
Yeah, but with work with men is very important, those mixed work, because we need to break the idea that parenting skills is only related with mothers. It's fathers as well. They live with their kids. They do a lot of things between them, and their drug use affect as well to those kids. So one of the idea that prevails very often to listen from them, from male participants, is that I'm a good father since I don't take drugs and I provide financially. That stereotype of fatherhood. So we try to deal with it and address it, that being father, it means as well to take care of, not just mother needs to take care. So there's a lot of, that's why I mentioned before that gender approach is very important, and try to break stereotypes, gender stereotypes related to motherhood and fatherhood, because this feed a lot the guilt in hers, and we need to work in responsible fatherhood as well. That's why mixed group is very rich. That's very, very interesting.
Okay.
Yes. Other questions or reactions?
Yes. I have a question. Yeah. Do you also involve partners if they are still in the picture?
What kind of partners do you mean?
Like the partner, like mother or father of the child? Yeah.
Yeah. We have a strong focus in family therapy. I mean, in individual therapy, we try to interview as well partners. The family who is directly involved to each case, we address that too as well. But in individual therapy, in small interviews, not in big groups. Because the pandemic, because 2 years ago we did every 15 years huge groups of families, and they can just talk about all their concerns and the situations. And because my grandson is asking what her mom is, and a lot of things that come up. But unfortunately, with the COVID-19, we have to stop this group, and we only can do it by very small groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we do involve them. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Someone else? Okay, Gisela, thanks very much. And also you, if you agree, you can share